You're watching the Top 6 Show, the original multi-club fan channel. Make sure you're following us now on Spotify and Apple Podcast. The link is in the description below. Welcome back to the Top 6 Show. Smash like buttons, subscribe. Make sure you've turned the bell notifications on as well. Links to all the contributors tonight that have their own channels, by the way, are in the description below. So go and check them out and subscribe to their channels as well. And look at this brilliant panel we got tonight. Got man like little Tom there on the bottom, ready to speak about Liverpool. We're not really going to talk much about Liverpool today, which is probably a blessing in disguise for you.
That's fine. We don't need to discuss my club today.
We've got Carefree Lewis in the house, back in Chelsea. We've got man like Neutral Mo. He's an Inter fan, but he's here just to be neutral in terms of the top six today. And Premzy is back with us again. And congratulations, by the way, mate, on your recent engagement. Congratulations on sealing the deal, my old mate. Well done.
Thank you very much. You know, they don't make them like us anymore, dropping on one knee and that, pulling muscles and shit. But it is what it is. Thank you very much, bro. Appreciate it. It's good to be back.
Not a problem at all. And there is lots to go into tonight. And viewers, at the end of the show, we're doing a debate, underrated or overrated. So we're going to be selecting some players. One of them you'll already see because there's a poll running. 5 different Premier League players as to whether they are overrated or underrated. So we'll be debating that later on the show. So stay with us for that. But I wanted to start off, boys, with a bit of England talk, really. I've seen a lot of stuff sort of circling around social media today. Is he good enough for England? Does he have too many favourites? Is it wrong to have kept him going into this Euro qualification and everything else? Premzy, what's your take on it, mate? Are you someone that thinks Southgate should be cut a little more slack? He's been in a semi-final, he's been to a final, or are we now just kind of flogging a dead horse?
Do you know what? I think he's done well to get to where he's got to in certain competitions, and you can't deny him that he's accumulated good players. But I think that's it now. I think his time's up. I think we need to get a real winner in now, because otherwise we're going to end up wasting this era of top talented players and not going through and winning anything. I think if we bring in a serious winner to come and manage England now, and they can manage the egos, manage the players, not have favouritism, bring in players that are on form as well, fit a different system rather than playing free at the back, be a bit more expansive and attacking, I think we can go on and actually do something great in one of these competitions and actually lift the trophy. Do you know what I'm saying? I think with Gareth Southgate at the moment, I think he's kind of hit his ceiling for me. And that's just the way I see it, bro, being honest with you.
You think this is like the actual generation that should do something for England, not the Gerrard, the Lampard, and all these guys, the Wayne Rooney. I think I'm seeing this generation as you are stacked in most positions. I know that Maguire stuff, but there's Ben White, there are Reece James, Trent, you have Chilwell now, you have 2 in every position. And one of the positions now that I haven't seen in the years before is that defensive midfield, the Calvin Phillips, the Declan Rice. All the time you had the number 8, a great number 8, you know, the Scholes, the Lampard, the Gerrard. You haven't had an actual DM, like actual English DM, and now you have it. And I think this guy is wasting this talent. You have some players that might start in every team around the world, and he's so defensive. He's so anti-football most of the time. And you have a lot of talent everywhere now, the likes of Rashford, Saka, Foden, Grealish. These guys might start in every team, but that doesn't happen often with English players. And he's wasting this. You should have won something by now. And it's
stupid. It's stupid. This is the best attacking generation England have had for a long time.
I agree with
It will be the best attacking generation England will have for a long time in terms of pure talent and chemistry. And our manager decided the best way to utilise that is a back 3, 2 wing backs so he doesn't let go past the halfway line, and 2 DMs. So then you just end up with a right winger, a left winger, and a striker being told to do it all. It doesn't make sense. He also sits there. The thing is, I can understand people who praise Southgate. He deserves credit for what he's done because he managed to get England over some humps that we had. I haven't got us over the main one, but he got us over some of the humps that we had. But now, I can't excuse what I'm saying because he's just lying to the people. He's lying. What all this stuff about, I'm not going to pick favourites, I'm going to pick off form. Why has Calvin Phillips, been in any of the England squads this season? The man is yet to complete a 90-minute game for Manchester City. What form are you basing it off? Is Leeds form? because he was injured all of last season for Leeds as well. You're basing it off form from 2 years ago. Harry Maguire, fantastic when he plays for England. If that was what you were basing it on, say that rather than just say, I'll pick players based off form. You can sit there and, you get wins in tournaments, this, that, and the other. We're still yet to beat a properly big team at a properly major tournament, for one. And you are clearly still playing favourites when there are managers who will be biting at the bit to get to manage this England team with the talent that we've got, with the chemistry that we've got. And I'm not on about, the smaller end managers who we take a risk on and then maybe it's a happy-go-lucky story. The best of the best would take a punt on us. Thomas Tuchel, I'm sure Tuchel would be all over a chance to manage England and take his stock up further. And he could do wonders with this squad.
I think he was going to take it for the World Cup.
It's stupid. Like, I understand.
No, in England, they'll end up getting Steven Gerrard to manage us. That's just the way that they move. And I'm telling you now for a fact that don't get too excited.
The thing is, though, like, I wouldn't be surprised if a Gerrard or a Lampard got it if we got rid of him. I've even seen people, listen, he's doing brilliantly at Middlesbrough, but people are like, Michael Carrick is the manager that everybody thought Lampard and Gerrard would be. And I'm like, just shush. He's less than a year into managing. Let them do their thing. The biggest mistake Gerrard and Lampard and these guys made was leaving Derby and leaving Rangers far too early in their managerial careers. And I think Premsy got it spot on right at the start there. We now need to move on to an elite level manager. I think Southgate was what was needed when he arrived. We were broken as a nation. He's helped build a foundation. He is just not good enough to circumvent that final hurdle or the biggest and the best teams regularly enough. We just don't do it regularly enough. And we have a very good team. And the fact, it still hurts me, the fact that he gave Rashford 3 minutes against France when we've seen how good he was at the World Cup and how good he's been since the World Cup. At least give him half an hour. At least give him 20 minutes out there. And he nearly scored. I can imagine him, like Saka was cooking that night. You'd have put him on that left-hand side and had Saka cooking the right, Rashford cooking on the left. I believe we would have won that game. He isn't brave enough. He isn't brave enough as a manager, and his squad selections prove that. I understand Maguire being picked because Maguire actually starts all these games for England, never put a foot wrong. But Calvin Phillips, he wasn't even starting at the World Cup. So there isn't the level of loyalty you show into certain players is wrong. You're not then breeding enough competitiveness because people are going to get lazy because they know they're going to get picked. And yeah, I've been Southgate out for a while now. I'm not going to lie. I've been Southgate out for a while. Some of the results, look, we had a decent World Cup again, some really good results in it. But yeah, for me, we're just going to always fall one hurdle too short. And we got it wrong with managerial selections during the golden generation, as it were, because again, when you've got managers putting the best midfielder of his generation in Paul Scholes on the left, so that you could try out this media farce of an idea of Gerrard and Lampard playing together, and then subsequently every manager since tried to make Lampard and Gerrard play together, and it didn't work. It was chalk and cheese. It was just ridiculous trying to create a partnership that way. But yeah, look, for me, I want us to win tonight. I want us to beat the Italians. But there's a part of me that thinks maybe some defeats and we get rid of him and we actually improve in the long term.
There is one manager to be out there that I think would suit the generation really well, which is free now. It's Luis Enrique, and he already managed internationally. If I know that England, it's hard to get like the international manager, Sven-Göran Eriksson and Papi Capello are the only two people that managed England outside of the English people. But I think he's out there. He's free. He will change the way people play, and he suits some of the players already on the squad, the likes of Trent, Terrace, Saka. Like these people can play football the way he wants to play, the position football, and I think it will change English football if this guy manages the national team. It will change even the whole league.
I don't think he'd take it. I really don't. Not with the amount of control, the effort. Like you've got to bear in mind. I think the only reason Southgate has lasted this long is because he's a nice face.
Yes,
and he won't say he won't cause any controversy. He won't say anything bad. He's a nice face that everyone can get behind, and the FA can manage the team. Then, if Luis Enrique come in, Luis Enrique would want control, and I don't think the FA.
If they want success, they got to do that. They got to bring somebody in who's going to win. I think Enrique is a good shout. I think with Southgate as well, you got to be able to be adaptable in games as well, especially big games. And you don't really see that from England. They just have one set plan. There's no plan B, and if it's either going for you, it's going for you. If it's not, it's not. And I think the Euro is going to be coming up. We got to really look at it now. I think Terry's right. If we end up losing a few games, they're going to have to look at him and think, right, it might be time up now. You took us to a certain level. Sometimes you need to bring in another person that can then take you beyond that level and actually get you over the line. And I just don't think Southgate's got a winning mentality. And even with Enrique, if he came into the team, he would get the boys playing good football, free-flowing football. This crop of players that we have now are fresh, they're hungry, you get me? They're good footballing players, likes of Phil Foden, Saka, Rashford, and you've got a killer up front in Harry Kane. He's got one more Euros in him, and I don't care what anyone says. I'm an Arsenal fan, and I think Harry Kane's world class. Get me? He's a quality striker, and we can't let this go to waste. We need a new manager in, 100%.
It all lines up as well, considering the attacking talent. Like when you look at all these other national teams that have done well, look at the way they play. Look at the way that the players play for club level. We play in the most attacking league in the world, one of the most exciting league in the world, where it's all about scoring goals, being attacking. We have some of the best teams in the world, and then they get to the England camp and it's right, boys. Imagine you're at Fulham. Imagine you're at you're like a team low down. Imagine you're at Southampton, low block, set up deep. Let's not concede, and then we'll try and hit them on the counter. That worked when we were crap, but we're now one of the best sides in terms of quality in the world, and yet we still play like with the underdogs, and it doesn't add up.
And also, you have teams lower down the table, and they play the progressive position football. So English football is changing. So get somebody that will match that. That will match the likes of Fulham, Brighton. Everybody playing that now.
You know what's crazy? One of the reasons the golden generation failed is because sometimes the style of football we played didn't match what they did at club level. And I used to, as a United fan, and I predominantly watched United back then. I didn't watch as much as of the other top six as I do now. But Rooney don't play for us like he does for United, because we had Fergie as the manager and we played brilliant football. Now, imagine the Arsenal players when they went from playing under Wenger to playing in an England system. It was, it's like going from eating gourmet food to eating beans on toast. And that's the big problem we've got. And this notion that our manager has to be English is crazy, because you've got Serena Wegman, who took over the women's team and has been one of their most successful managers. And she is Dutch, as far as I believe. I've never actually Googled where she's from. I think she's Dutch. I don't care where she's from. It's irrelevant to me. I don't care where my players are born. I don't care where my manager is born. I care about who they want to represent. I care more about their ability and their want to make us win than I do their passport or where they were born or where their dad's from. For me, completely and utterly irrelevant, especially as an English person, because this country is full of immigration. It's what our country's built upon, and for me, it's a beautiful thing. I was actually watching Piers Morgan the other day on a debate he did, and he did a DNA test. Turns out he's got 0% British. He's actually 62% Middle Eastern in terms of his DNA, and I laughed, and it was kind of, that's the thing. That's why I don't really care about that sort of stuff. I care about, are you good enough? I don't care that Southgate's English, because he isn't good enough to win us the major trophies. And for me, that's far more important than anything else here. Lennon Sweet says, England never winning anything. Germany own you. Well, not at the last couple of tournaments. I wouldn't chat about Germany right now, my friend. But
last Euros was a bit techy, but we moved.
Yeah, the World Cup as well. The last World Cup and that. Yeah,
exactly.
Eliminations.
Every England team class, every generation is good individual players in every position. It's the team chemistry and balance that has been wrong.
That's why you get a manager that can sort that out, innit? It's down to the manager and it's down to a system in order to...
We've got a lovely little thing going. We're all very happy-go-lucky at the training camps. We get lovely YouTube content and everything, but I don't care about that. I care about getting the trophies at the end of the day. And if I have to sacrifice a bit of Lion's Den content where Jordan Henderson's laughing with some fella on a Zoom call, I don't really care. We just have to start winning, because we can't keep letting these generations fade away.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you who I would like as the new manager, because it would help all of us in the top six, and I think it'd make England brilliant. Mikel Arteta. Take him.
Hey! Don't get me started. I'm trying to chill out over it. I would have given you last season, but not this season. I'll tell you that much.
And then Southgate goes into Arsenal. He's worked with Saka on the international level. He can go into Arsenal and just keep that culture going.
Exactly.
You know what?
Arteta to England.
I think Jurgen Klopp might be a good shout still. I'm not going to lie. I think
would-
his time's up at Liverpool. It's looking like. So you
Well,
can
if
go
you need
in.
an English manager, we do have Graham Potter. I'm fine with that.
I'm all right.
Do you know all of this don't matter because now I'm looking at the squads and England for the first time in my lifetime have the best actually squads. I'm looking at the German talent out there other than Jamal Musiala. Sani is okay. I would pick Saka over him. Spain, you know, the attacking lineup that Luis Enrique had, they wouldn't start in every of the top club. Italy now are downhill. Germany, we know what is happening. Brazil start Rafinha. Other than Vini Jr., they start Rafinha and Richarlison. So you can look at this England squad and say, you really have probably the second best team in the world at the moment, or not even the first, in terms of starting 11. John Stones now, the way he plays football, as I said, Chilwell, Reece, Trent, you have a golden generation, probably the best starting 11 in international football at the moment, because everybody else is struggling. Everybody. Brazil is starting Rafinha and Richarlison, as I said.
Would you take Wenger for the
Yes.
England manager?
I would.
If he could still do it.
I would.
Yes. Yeah.
If he was still, I would. I think. Listen, I would. And I think Klopp. You mentioned Klopp a minute ago. Yeah, I think his time might be coming to an end at Liverpool, but I still think he's a world-class manager, and he might want to go on to manage his own country. So I totally respect it. But England, the FA pay a hell of a lot of money, you know. And I think for someone like Klopp, if you were told he was going to be paid 20 million a year to be our manager, I don't think anybody would bat an eyelid. You know, they'd go fine because he's world-class. Imagine the football he'd get us playing. I don't know if he'd do it because of the Scouse connection. You know, a lot of Liverpool fans pretend not to be English a lot of the time. Yeah, they pretend not to be English until they need everything that comes, until the benefits of being a Brit are out there. Do you know what I mean? It's but yeah, I think I'd love him, mate. I'd love Jurgen Klopp. It'd be a fantastic.
I've got no faith in the FA to do it right though, considering they had Jose Mourinho on a silver platter in 2008, just before he went to Inter, practically begging for the job, and they said, "Nah, we'll have Steve McLaren instead. He gets it more."
I remember that time.
That was disgraceful.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. In terms of tonight's game, do you see England beating? Anyone see England beating Italy, or do we think being away against the Italians is a little bit too much?
I think when there's no pressure on, England do well when there's no pressure on in certain situations. I think they'll win.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting one. I will be watching it. I will watch it, but is what it is. I don't know what it is.
Let me say something here. If England don't beat Italy, it's a failure. This Italian squad is so weak; they can't find a striker to play for them. It is unbelievable.
Haven't they had to pull like one from like Argentina? They have to pull like an Argentinian league striker.
Scamacca, guys, it might start. This is a shambolic Italian team. Bonucci's, the Chiellinis are gone. They start Locatellis and Tonali's. England should win this game. On paper, there is no comparison between the two teams. No comparison between. You have the superstars now, the players on form, the Sakas, the Rashfords, Harry Kanes, Foden. There is no comparison. Now talking Gnonto and Berardi and Scamacca, guys. Scamacca cannot even start at West Ham. Come on, give me a break. England should win this game comfortably.
We should, but we're England, and we're never we're never that confident. Do you know what I mean? It's like banking on the English weather. You know, you can't do it. None of our teams, rugby, cricket, football, even if we're seen as the best in the world, that's never a foregone conclusion with us. We're one of them nations. You know, we're one of them nations. Viewers, do us a big favor and hit the like button. Remember, if you can't listen to the full show, but you want to download it via Spotify, the link is in the description below or pinned into the live comment section. So get following us over there. The next talking point, which has been voted in by the viewers, is a sensitive one, but I wanted to speak about it today because I don't believe in ignoring trending topics, is Thomas Partey. Now, we know that there's been, of course, his name has been trending today. There is a Premier League player who it's now reported a third victim has come forward for in terms of alleged assaults against them. And the papers are not naming Thomas Partey, but of course, a lot of his name has already been revealed. The newspapers are not going to do it, but allegedly it is Thomas Partey. And a big question has been posed by a lot of football fans over the past sort of 12 to 24 hours. Should Thomas Partey be allowed to play football while this investigation is going on and he is on Bow, or in fact any player, if they're under this kind of investigation, should they be allowed to continue playing football? What's your thoughts on it, Lewis?
I don't know in terms of like there actually being a law to suspend them or something, but it's more of a moral thing. And this is the confusing part because I think it leads a lot in terms of the evidence that's already out there, I guess, because when it was Greenwood, for example, all it took was for the evidence to be posted on social media, and then the outrage was so loud that United were put in a position where they had to suspend him. Yeah. I think with Mendy, the City knew about it before it became public, and then when it became public, they suspended him. But with Partey, like the allegations are there, but I guess on the case of technicalities or something, Arsenal decided that they're going to continue playing him through this. Probably because of how vital he is to their title campaign. And I understand that. Like, he's a great football player, one of the best DMs in the league, if not the best. And I get that. But I think morally, like, they shouldn't be playing him. Like, we've seen City drop their player. We've seen United drop their player. I don't know why Arsenal are continuing to play somebody through an investigation that is still ongoing. That's what's confusing to me because we've seen clubs act completely differently. So I don't know. But
there are
obviously
two different things, Lewis.
You can't act like the guy's been guilty.
There are two different things, Lewis. There are investigations and there are charges. When there are charges pressed, that means there's a case built by the police, and now they press charges. Thomas Partey has not been charged. He was charged. There was a case.
No, not at the time that the allegations came out and he was suspended.
But that's my point. Thomas Partey, as of now, it's just an investigation. These are not. It's an accusation. Like anybody can accuse anybody. Ronaldo was accused.
But there was already one ongoing one before.
But he wasn't charged. I don't disagree with you about this. However, I really think it's unfair if we say now that Thomas Partey shouldn't play because someone went and accused him of something. Does the police have enough evidence to charge him? Once they charge him, now Arsenal have to take.
The police did put a statement out in the summer saying that there was an investigation that they had to close.
Yeah, but an investigation isn't being charged. And look, the way I see it, at the end of the day, look, if he's guilty, he's guilty. But at the moment, he's innocent until proven guilty. We've seen with Benjamin Mendy, his situation. It looks like he's been proven innocent now from all his charges, and he's been dropped from Man City and missed out on so much football and done a year in jail. Is that fair on him? You know, when people have a lot of money as well, allegations get thrown around left, right, and centre, and you got to look at it with real facts. You get me? At the moment, it's just an investigation. Just like my brother Mo said here, anyone could just go and throw in an investigation on someone and make a couple of lies. The police will have to investigate it until he is being charged with something. Then he shouldn't play. But up until that moment, there's no reason for him not to play because it all could just be a pack of lies, which I hope and believe it is, and is not fair on the guy. Is totally not.
So how come everyone was so fine with Greenwood being?
Because Greenwood had literally a voice recording that the whole world heard, and unless you didn't understand.
Oh, you had Snapchat and WhatsApp messages leaked.
Nah. But anyone can edit that. We've heard Greenwood.
Still evidence. It's social media evidence. It's got to be the same energy.
Greenwood was charged, weren't he?
No, not at the time.
Yeah, he did.
Not at the time. Not at the time all of that came out. He got charged afterwards, but what initially happened was the recordings and all of that stuff.
If you have the same energy with absolutely everything, if you have the same energy with absolutely everything and everyone, that means a lot of people wouldn't be in work because so many people make allegations about people. If you're under investigation, you're under investigation. You're not being charged with anything. If you get found guilty, then fair enough, innit? Then obviously, then you shouldn't be playing at all. But like I said, bro, we know what happens in this world.
So you would have rather Greenwood have played in that situation then?
Well, after hearing that video, obviously not, because once you've heard that video...
But I saw the WhatsApp and the Snapchat videos and the screenshots and everything, and that to me was my judgment, the same way with everyone else, that was their judgment of Greenwood. So it's got to be the same energy.
No, I think it's different,
so let me
to be
ask
honest.
you something.
You've all heard his voice in it. You've raw heard Greenwood's voice, and you can determine that's him. Anyone could do anything when it comes to with
Partey's Snapchat was up there, isn't it?
Lewis, let me ask you something. Was Greenwood arrested after the video?
After the video, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Is Thomas Partey arrested? No. He's been asked to go for investigation.
just to give the facts on that, because someone put a
Yes.
question in. He's officially on bail, so his bail was extended for a third time in January. But the media article that's come out today is that an additional, it says here that a Premier League international football star arrested for two assaults is quizzed for hours under caution by police after a third woman has come forward. The player was previously accused in June 2022 and April of 2021. A third victim has reportedly been assaulted in Hertfordshire in February last year. There is an element here of a reiteration of the story, but what it does confirm is that he is still officially on bail that has been extended while the investigation goes on. I mean, he's lucky.
Have they stated that that is Thomas Partey that you're talking about, or they not disclosing the name? Because at the moment he's in Ghana, ain't he?
Yeah, the newspapers have not stated his name because they are under a legal obligation.
So it's
not
speculation right now.
It is, but they are talking about Thomas Partey.
Yeah, but that's facts in it. Unless a name's got released, it's speculation, isn't it?
Yeah,
Terry is saying because Thomas Partey actually in Ghana.
Yeah, but this isn't talking about this has happened.
It was February.
They're saying that this this hasn't happened today. The stories come out today about this, which is why people are obviously talking about it. Like I'm one of these people where we've seen.
Didn't Partey miss the City game on February?
Potentially, but that would be proper speculation to say that's why he missed it. But I think for me, it's one of these things I look at and think. We've seen so many examples of these in football. You've got your Greenwoods and your Chad Evanses, who are completely polarized examples of one another. You've got situations now with Danny Alves, who I believe is currently in jail or he's been in jail. You had who was a City player? He used to play for City, Robinho.
Walker.
You've had so many of these things that are going on. Clubs obviously, I think, have to judge these on individual basis, and this comes down to if it is the person that it's alleged to be. This comes down to if he's playing football or not. This comes down to his relationship with Arsenal and how much due diligence they have done. When Spurs signed Basuma in the summer, there was outrage from people. How dare they sign him with this investigation over his head? 2 weeks later, it was dropped. Clearly, Tottenham did due diligence, and I think would have said, listen, we're happy to sign you, but we need full access to everything. We want to see what you've been accused of, what your response to it is, so you can make a conscious decision. And if you're Mikel Arteta and Arsenal, I'm pretty sure that Arsenal have done that. I'm pretty sure that they are going to do their due diligence as best they can. They're not just going to turn their back on it and ignore it, because if it turned out that he gets charged, that it was Partey, and in 2 months he was charged, and Arsenal did nothing to kind of mitigate this or investigate it, then they'd be held to pay for them on a media level. But you're right, Premsy. Until his name is officially released by police, until official evidence is released, how it was done with Greenwood, it is very difficult to judge whether he should or shouldn't play, because how embarrassing would it be?
Do you know what it is, though, Terry, as well? Sorry to cut you, yeah. It's just, obviously, you got to understand, Arsenal are in a position at the moment where we're going for the league and we're winning the league. 80% of this country are probably not happy about that. So you just get idiots that just like jumping on the bandwagon saying, oh, Partey should be banned, Partey should be this, Partey. If it was your dad or your brother, yeah, I guarantee it'd be totally different. You get me? It'd be innocent until proven guilty, innit? That's the situation about it. So in regards to everything, like I stated before, Benjamin Mendy got the absolute book thrown at him and he's walked away an innocent man. He's walked away an innocent man and done a year of jail. You know what I'm saying? So up until evidence is put forward, you're charged, you get me, and you're found guilty, it is what it is, isn't it? Like, if he's found guilty, then obviously no one will have no respect for him. But up until then, you can't condemn a man and throw stones at him until that point.
And this is why I wanted to talk about it, because should he or should he not play football? The problem that we have is that the story came out today, and when it first trended, it was the man's just been arrested. You read the article, and actually this was a month or so ago, and it's allegations from further back, and it's about people getting their facts straight. And until someone's charged, according to law, they've done nothing wrong. And I understand it's a very emotive subject, and I understand that it's one where there's a lot of you've got to take victims seriously, and it should all be investigated, and it should be investigated into the nth degree. But at the same time, are we moving into a world? And Greenwood's, I think, was a unique situation because we all saw and heard things. We all saw pictures and we all heard video notes. And I think it changes the complexity of these things. But we have to let due process go through in these circumstances. Personally, I know there's a Snapchat pictures, but listen, I've got a Twitter account
and messages.
I'm just saying, I haven't seen the tech. I only saw the Snapchats. My YouTube,
obviously Lewis was there in the room as well.
My Twitter account, just so quickly, my Twitter account, my personal one, 4 different people have access to it because we post work stuff out on there and stuff like that. So we know footballers don't even run their own socials. So I'm just saying it's circumstantial until it gets sort of confirmed, as it were. But I'm gonna go to some of these super chats that have come through here. The first one says, I'll put the ones that are football related back in a second. We haven't seen Sigurdsson at Everton for a while. Yeah, we know why on that one, my friend. We're not going to delve into that on the Terrace today. The Snapchats were not conclusive at all. It was messages back and forth, and they weren't damning. That was the problem. Bow is extended for investigation, which will end in June, where if there's nothing, then it will be dropped. The last time I checked, Partey or Arsenal is not the cause of something.
Chelsea
Chelsea being mid-table. If this is significant evidence to charge someone, the police would get involved and do it right. Do the right thing. Angry Chelsea fan is what Alex has got.
I am not angry at Partey for my team being 10th. I will say that. There's plenty of other reasons for that.
Yeah. But there we go. Viewers, make sure you're hitting like and share buttons. Make sure you're subscribing. Daps, welcome to the show, my friend. I appreciate you being here.
Can I just say one thing, right? I don't know if you've mentioned this guy in the previous conversation yet. And firstly, everything I've heard so far, you're spot on. Look, if I feel for the victims, we have to consider the victims. But right, Ivan Toney, yeah. Now Ivan Toney is facing charges related to gambling, right?
Yep.
Gambling on football, yeah.
Yes. Betting,
right. Okay. Cool. So it is relatable to what he does in his job. Now, if you get done for a crime, yeah, and the crime is, say, violence, you might get remand, yeah, because they need to remand you because you might be a risk to society, yeah. Now, if you're a footballer and you've been done for gambling, betting on football, right? I'm not saying put him in prison, but maybe him doing his job right now, maybe. Whereas with Partey at the moment, the football element is nothing to do with that element, right? So he should be able to do his job till he's found guilty. If he's found guilty, 100% lock him up. But if there's not substantial evidence to put him in prison, which there doesn't seem to be, or he would be, and he's allowed to walk the streets, he should be allowed to do his job because they don't know if he's going to be guilty. Yeah.
No,
with Toney, it's like we can't take that risk because you could impact a game.
Yeah.
That is just common sense. You get me? It's just stupid, immature people that don't know the law and don't know how things should go. You get me? And just want to condemn people for the sake of it. You get me? That's why most of them are just in the chat anyway because they've got nothing better to do. You know what I'm saying? It's all a mad thing.
Stay in the chat, though, people.
Stay in the chat. Definitely watch the show. What I would say, and this is just advice to Arsenal fans, I'd maybe just hold back on a little bit of the Thomas Partey prop for a while because I just hold back a little bit. I'd keep your powder dry on that one. Do you know what I mean?
Keep using that term, Terry.
I love that term. My dad taught me that when I was 5 years old. I've never forgotten it. Keep your powder dry. Hit the like button, people. Subscribe to the Terrace. Always here for a good chat and discussion. Man United's takeover. I've seen a lot of rivals laughing today, especially Liverpool fans, Tom, because the bids didn't come in. But Tom Radcliffe's bid in the last 15 minutes has now arrived. It's a world record bid of about 5.5 billion for Manchester United. And I've got a theory. Do you want to hear it? I think my brother, Sheikh Hassim, I believe.
Oh, he's got like an inside man or something.
You know, I honestly do. I think he's got an inside man at Rain Group and he's waiting for the last bid to go in. However big it is, he's going to top it and go boom. Because that's what he said the whole time. His media briefs have been so consistent every single time. We're going to blow everybody else out the water. But what he doesn't want to do is bid 7 billion when the next highest is 5 billion. He's waiting to see what people come in with. So it's predicted tonight that the Sheikh's bid will come in. There's been about 5 other bids as well today, including some Finnish tech dude. But yeah, listen, Man United's takeover moving on forward. Rivals, question for you. Anyone worried about it? or
If it's done
nervous
in the right
about it,
way, yeah.
or do
If
people
it's-
think it's going to be no different to the Glazers?
If it's done in the right way, yes, there's a major worry, which is why when you look at what Jim Ratcliffe's saying he will do compared to what the Sheikhs are saying they will do, I think that the born and bred Manchester United fan who gets to the club and how it works should get the one in Sir Jim Ratcliffe. But no, the thing is that the Sheikhs who were coming in and are saying all these big things, the other people in the Premier League who've come in and said that with this amount of financial backing have delivered. And the biggest worry is if United get this level of funding, get a renovated stadium, get a renovated training ground, the expenditure on the playing squad continues, but the infrastructure of the club grows. That's the worry, because United already have a head start on every other club. They already do, because they bring in more commercial revenue. So they already have wider profit margins. They already have more room in FFP, etc., etc. They are the biggest club. If the biggest club gets the most money, it's going to be really hard to compete if it's done in the right way. That's the issue. If it's Sir Jim Ratcliffe and the, or the other ones where like the Glazers are still involved a little bit, there's always the potential that they stick their nose in and, it's not a happy marriage and everything. But if the Sheikhs one goes through, I am quite worried, yeah. Especially when, just speaking from me, my owners won't do anything. My owners will sign me Mason Mount and tell me to be happy with it.
But you know what's crazy about you? Like, I saw Red Men TV ranting about the Bellingham thing. I thought, my God, they've finally arrived at the party, Red Men TV, a few years too late. Yeah, I mean, for me, I know not all rivals. I'm not saying any of you five are, but the amount of rivals I see, and I even see it in here, like they're talking about Terry's capping, the Glazers are going to keep the club. There was even one rumor today I saw, and it was the Glazers. It was by journalists. So there's sources that say that the main bidders are worried that the Glazers are just using them to rise the value of the club on the stock market so they can sell more shares. It's like, bruv, that is literally illegal. I mean, it's beyond. I hope they're doing that, because then they'll go to prison, and then we won't have them as owners anymore either. But like, there's some mad conspiracy theories. Like, Man United's takeover is really warped people's minds. But at the same time, they tell us the Glazers are really good, so I'm confused by that. Why do you think it is, Mo?
Takeover thing. Why there's talk about Jim Ratcliffe versus the Qataris and all this stuff. You unmuted my mic.
Yes, yeah. I muted it because I was getting some.
Yeah, me too.
Somebody's mic was feedbacking a minute ago, and I just muted everyone so that we didn't.
Can you say the question again? You just like my mic was muted. I was looking at it.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. No, I was just saying, like, why do you think so many rivals are kind of salty towards United getting new owners?
Because they've seen Man City. Listen, Man City before 2008, they weren't even in the talk. I look at Man City now, one of the biggest clubs in the world, and everybody's just afraid because imagine Man United with the Glazers, the huge pull they have for these superstars. And now imagine they have the money to put in infrastructures, to invest in the community and have the club even bigger. Man United, I think, is the biggest football club in the world, along with Barcelona in terms of the fan base. So imagine having owners that can put unlimited funds in this club. This will be, I think, a big change in English football, because now we're going to have the Saudis and the Newcastle, the Qataris and the Emiratis for Man City. That would change everything. People should be scared. Everybody in the world should be scared from Man United if they get the Qataris investment. This is so much money on the table, along with the Man United name. I think anybody would be stupid not to be scared. And you need to be able to compete. And we have seen the football nowadays. It's about how much money you can spend and who you can bring to the club. And the project will be massive if Man United get the Qataris. I can't imagine how much money these guys will spend to improve the club in general, and also improve the squad and have every single wish for the manager, Erik ten Hag, available. I think they will match any bid. They will do everything along with the Man United name. I think everybody should be scared. I'm scared. I support the team in Italy, and I'm like, these people take over the freaking world.
I tweeted what I said earlier, like a stupid fan theory. I said Qatar and the Sheikh have an inside man feeding them the bid total so they can make sure their offer for United is the highest. With a wink emoji, clearly sarcasm, right? You five all got brains, you get it. The amount of people, that's nonsense. I can't believe you'd write that. That's ridiculous. No way, that's true. That just shows out they're so angry that they're not even reading correctly and they're panicking. And listen, I don't think City fans are not worried per se because they've got those owners. I don't
Thanks
think
for using
Newcastle
that word, Terry, by the way.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I know everyone hates me using the word scared, but it's the right word to use. That there are people that are
Worried is better. Worried is better.
So
That's
Terry,
more-
you don't think they are worried that Man United will come back
No,
to the
there's a
picture?
difference. Worried and scared. Scared is
A
just
little
mad.
bit worried that okay,
And
now the
it's-
Qatari owners now they can match our Emirati guys,
But
and it will be.
I would say this. I mean, Dap's going to answer it as well, but I don't think. I think there'll be an element of United could get back to the peak of their powers, but when your team's run well, invested well, got a brilliant manager, you're not so much scared. Like when Fergie was at Man United, and I didn't care what Chelsea did, what City did, because I knew Fergie would keep our heads above water. So I was kind of like, they're going to really push us, and they made me nervous, but I wasn't worried about them. Post Fergie, I'm scared of all your goddamn teams with the way you all run better than we are. You all run better than we are. Do you know what I mean? So it worries me because if you're not a well-run club, you cannot succeed. And on a long-term basis, look at Arsenal. As soon as they fix the boardroom, Arteta's done a brilliant job. But without the board being fixed first, they wouldn't be where they are now. Liverpool, as soon as they started running themselves as a proper football club again, they started to win. Chelsea,
Do you know what it is, Terry?
We'll see with Todd Bowley. We'll see. But
Do you know what it is, Terry, for me, right? And this is no one from Tottenham here today, right? This is the issue with Tottenham, right? For a football club to be successful, you need a board and a manager, most important, that share an objective, share a goal, and want to push it out to the rest of the club, right? Tottenham, they've got a board that are obsessed with money and a manager obsessed with money. Together, that's never going to be successful, right? So with City, you've got the board, you've got Pep. They both know where we want to go. They share the same ambitions, share the same goals, so it works. Now at Arsenal, Arteta has gone in there and he's got the board sharing the same goals as them. This is why I actually think Arsenal will, because Arsenal don't need to pay for no stadium no more. Arsenal are one of the biggest clubs. They will spend money, right? So, and I think the board listen to Arteta. They know Arteta knows how they should operate. So I think that's going to work. Now, the key with Man United is, I think with Ten Hag, they've got the right manager. It's that the board go in and the board listen to the manager because the board have enough money, let's be clear. But most boards do. But if the board go in and say to Ten Hag, you're the man for the job and we're willing to listen to you, we're going to have a sports director that's going to work with you, all of that good stuff, that is worrying. Just from a rival fan's scaring me, the only way I could ever be scared of a football fan is if my club was about to go into administration. That's scary.
Well, that might happen when you're found guilty of cheating.
Never going to happen. We all know that, Terry.
Walked into that one, innit?
I did. I was ready for it.
You never know when you're playing Leyton Orient in 2 seasons' time, mate.
Well, it will probably save me some money, so.
And we have seen how good Arabs run clubs. Like I'm not only looking at Man City, I'm looking at Newcastle and look at the jump and how the club is well run now, the investments that they did. I think if Man United with Ten Hag, as Dap said, and the Arabs in there, they know what they're doing. They hire the right people to manage clubs. It's scary.
This super chat here from the Bill says Qatar is the only way to go. My issue with Sir Jim Ratcliffe is the news that came out that we might have what I refer to as a double dip debt, where they might not clear our current debt, and they are buying.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
So the worry for me is more this: because they may say initially, look, I've seen company mergers that do this many times in my banking career, where they promise one thing at the start when they're buying or they're merging, and then once the old guard have gone, they do what the hell they want. The problem is with Sir Jim Ratcliffe is that they could end up one day saying, actually, we're changing our minds now. Man United are going to pay for both debts, and then we're in trouble. Then we're in genuine trouble. And unless there is something that's written in stone and blood that would never make United accountable for those debts, I don't want them. But it says here, I was listening to Football Wars, and they said they weren't worried because the Glazers spend money too. And that's just that there. If you're a football fan, that's like the Glazers spent money, therefore United having even more money is not something to worry about. Just shows your ignorance on the matter. Considering
Do you know what the other thing is?
One sec. Just considering that Hussam had a Qatar flag in his bio for 3 months because he thought they were buying Liverpool. It's hilarious that he's saying he's not worried. Brother, I hope he's taken my nation's flag out of his bio by now. I hope he has.
Terry,
I am Qatari. I'm no longer English as well. I'm switching nationalities. I'm doing the whole lot.
But Terry, here's the difference. Here's the difference between why Liverpool want new owners and why Man United want new owners. Liverpool's fan base want new owners to go in and spend money. Manchester United want new owners to go in there and improve the infrastructure of the training facilities, improve the infrastructure of the ground, improve all around the ground, improve the community, do exactly what Manchester, because they've seen what City's owners have done for the west side of Manchester, right? Mm-hmm. And do you know what? That's what Man United fans want for their club. United fans know that their owners will spend money. They already do. But they want more for their football club. Whereas Liverpool fans, sorry, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, you just want investment.
I just want us to start spending money and, stop acting like we're a top 4 hopeful team and we have the best in the world in all this class and then we settle for Mason Mount.
Unlucky.
Are you right, Tom? You seem a bit...
Nothing wrong with Mason Mount, to be fair. Nothing wrong with Mount.
Yeah, Mason Mount's on his way.
Mason Mount couldn't usurp Jordan Henderson in the World Cup. And apparently he's our answer to all our problems.
He needs to go to Liverpool and learn from the best. Merseyside Mount. Merseyside Minerals. Go for it.
He could do it.
He rolls off the tongue well. Merseyside Minerals Mount. That's great.
It works. Mersey Mount.
There you go. Mersey Mount.
Works. Aaron here says, why do some United fans want Qataris? Anything you will win will be deemed irrelevant, as you United fans have done yourself with City. You know what I would say to you, Aaron? Certain United fans, and some of them are big YouTubers, are going to look very, very silly. That's why I've never... the only thing I've ever said about City is if they've cheated, they should be punished. You cannot find a video where I've condemned them spending their money, I've condemned their owners investing money, and I've never referred to them or their managers as checkbook managers. Why? Because you never know who's going to own your club in the future, and you need to be very careful about the footprint you leave on the internet, about who you condemn and who you don't, because all the Man United fans that did it about Newcastle, Chelsea, City are now going to look like idiots. And I just rather
Liverpool fans.
Liverpool fans who claim to be like complete socialist left wings. Yeah, give us that all money now. Give it. Honestly, everyone's like that. That's why I don't virtue signal, because virtue signalers always end up looking stupid in the end. Every single one of them throughout history. I'll tell you all privately off stage about a particular fan from someone you'll all know and how virtue signaling goes wrong for you. But I'll do that off camera because I'm not starting beef today. It's hilarious. But
Not today.
I'm not doing it on camera. Nabil here says, Aaron, I will be shameless and celebrate trophies. Nabil, listen, I'm gonna oil myself. I'm gonna do a full stream covered in oil. I'm telling you, I'm gonna oil myself up in my pants. I'm doing it because I just care. I don't care where the money comes from. Do you know what I mean? Half my city of London is owned by the Middle East and Russia and China. So do you know what I mean? Well, I'm never gonna visit London again. Fuck off. But like, I mean, drop me out with that bullshit.
Qatari flag and the whole taupe thing and everything.
Hey, honestly, I won't do anything with my clothes off, like, and disrespect the flag of Qatar. Obviously, I understand. I spent some time out there. It's a lovely place. I really enjoyed it. Why should anyone be scared? We all want more than one team to challenge, to try and win the Premier League. But when I say scared, everyone's worried about big bad Man United coming back to the fore, 110%, in my opinion. But there we go. Viewers,
I mean, just to that though, like. Yes, we want more than 2 teams to challenge, and we'll get that for a couple of years while United build up speed. And then when it comes down to Manchester City, who are a well-run club, and Manchester United, who could well be a well-run club, outspending every other team to try and one-up their City rivals, which is a real possibility. What do we do then? Because as good as Arsenal's young core is,
Tom, you were able to challenge without that much money as well. You're going to challenge for 4 years.
We were, yeah. And now look at us because we didn't sustain it. The difference is City and United would sustain it. We sat there and spent 7 years with the same squad, and now we wonder why we're crap. City let go of players before they've started the decline, and people question it.
I think that was just down to your recruitment policy as well, not bringing in midfielders. I think if you would have brought in some midfielders,
we sat there and acted like COVID
money in the wrong places.
We acted like COVID was we were the only club that got affected by COVID. No other club got affected by COVID. No, we were the only ones.
But it's on your fan base as a generally, because you lot just accept whatever club PR you put out. You don't push back. You say yes sir, no sir. 3 bags full, sir. Can I get on my knees for you, sir? I'll unzip you, sir. I'll put it in my mouth, sir. Whatever they say, you lot did. And I find it hilarious because you've now succumbed. And every time communism runs something, it goes wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's happened to communist Merseyside now. You've all been done. Now you're begging for oh, please, come get us out. You're begging for a capitalist to come save you from your communism. That's what happens all the time, Tom. That's what happens all the time. I love it. I love it. I know you've been red pilled a long time ago, Tom. But there we go. It's beautiful to see. Listen, viewers, hit the like and the share button. Subscribe to the Football Terrace as well. Moving on from that, before anyone gets angry, Arsenal. We're going to do the overrated and underrated debate a little later, so stay with us for that. And I'm going to let you know now, actually, viewers, who we're going to be debating. We're going to be debating Rooney. We're going to be debating KDB. We're going to be debating Hazard. We're going to be looking at VVD, and we're going to be looking at Bukayo Saka. So don't go anywhere after this next segment, because that's going to be a fire debate. I just want to pick up on
I do need to
I know you've got to shoot, mate. Thank you, bro, for coming on. And
by the way, Eden Hazard, underrated. Hella underrated.
He's not. Roy is replacing him here. Roy the boy is here with us now. I wanted to ask this question. There's a super chat that kind of relates to it, really. And it says here, Lewis, where are you going if Arsenal win the league? Big up, Terry. I used to hate you, but your intelligent football analysis has changed me. Thank you, Nathan. I think it's because I've been nice to Arsenal this year, but I appreciate the compliment, my friend. But
I see what you're doing, by the way, Terry. I do see what you're doing.
In fairness, though, Daps, I did this when you guys had your rise. I said that Liverpool were the best team in the world when they were the best team.
You said last season Liverpool were going to win the league. You did.
No, I thought they were going to catch you when they were 12 points.
You said they were going to win the league.
I was 1 point wrong. It's not bad, guys.
Oh, well, you said
that's perfectly valid. That's perfectly valid.
Basically, he's just speaking the truth, Terry, innit? That's all. When you speak the truth, people hate, man. Don't worry.
Well, he wasn't speaking the truth last season, was he?
It was a prediction. But I want to ask this question. Are Arsenal underdogs or favourites? And the reason I ask that is because I see people saying it's their title to lose, but in the very next breath say, but I think they'll bottle it. If you're going to bottle it, you can't be the favourites.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Explain that then, Tom. Explain that, bro. Explain that.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, no, it's me that said it.
Roy.
Boys not scouted, Terry.
Sorry.
As in, Arsenal are 101%. Do not let a single person convince you otherwise that they are not favourites for this title. They've been the best team in the country from August till March. When they've had blips, they've bounced back and put a good few wins together to retain their lead at the top. They've shown they can beat teams who come at them, who sit back, who want to play a basketball game. They've beaten a variety of different teams this season. And rightfully so, they're top of the league by a good margin. Not a huge margin, just a good margin. So they are 100% favourites for the league. And now you can easily be favourites for the league and people can say that you're going to bottle it because in the position they are in, they are favourites. They cannot be considered underdogs. However, if you then look at their squad and say there's not much experience in title-winning situations apart from Arteta, Zinchenko, and Jesus, it's a young squad. It's not the deepest squad in the world. So if, obviously, God forbid, I don't wish injury on anyone. If injuries come in, that could derail their season. So if people think that they have a feeling that they could bottle it, then that's fine. That's why I think it's very easy for the two of them to coexist. They're favourites because of how they perform from August till now. But also, if you look at their squad and the lack of experience, the young profiles, the lack of depth, then it's a valid reason. I don't agree with it because I think Arsenal are going to win the league, but it's a valid reason for you to think that they could bottle it. That's all I'm saying.
If they lose it from here, it's a failure, right? If they lose it from here, it's a failure.
It's a failure, 100%.
To go. 10 games to go. You have everything in your hand. You've been playing the best football ever. When is that? When are we going to draw the line and say from now here on, you got to win the league? City still play Liverpool.
Look. I'm going to speak now because I'm just saying too much shit here now. Don't be trying to throw pressure on us, Mo. I know what you're trying to do. Yeah, you get me. You get back in your cage.
Let me when are you going to draw
all I know is, look, I'm just going to say it as it is. We are the favourites. And I do believe we'll win the league. And the reason is, and you know what? What's your name, brother? Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Roy. Obviously, Roy pretty much hit the hammer on the nail there in everything that he said. I think there was a lot of truth in that. Obviously, a lot of things can determine the rest of these 10 games with for example, if we get injured to Thomas Partey or like Saliba's now out, we don't know how Rob Holding's going to do. All of these are factors in the next 10 games. Obviously, City also having that know-how how to get over the line, and this Arsenal team not knowing how to get over the line for 19 years, it does cause a bit of concern. But I agree. Now we're out of all competitions in the cups, and we've sacrificed them cup competitions. For me, it would be a failure if we didn't go on and win the league now. 100%. It would be, because we are in the best position, 8 points clear. For me, the Liverpool, the Newcastle, and the Man City game they're the games for me. If we can get through them games unscathed, then I think we're definitely going to be winning the title. But look, at the same time, you got to give these boys credit. Even if we don't get over the line, nobody expected Arsenal to be in this position this year. You know what I mean? From a team that finished 8th twice to finish 5th to now be challenging and leading the Premier League right from the get-go. Yeah, you got to give massive, massive credit.
Nobody said that. Nobody said that we're not giving them props. We're not giving them credit.
Well, you clearly didn't hear what I said just before that, then, innit? Because obviously, I just told you that I believe that we're going to win the league and we are favourites. Okay. What I was saying. So turn your volume up.
I did, but you're saying, but you're just asking. No. You're just saying that people don't wanna say that we don't give them credit. Absolutely. Beginning of the season, you were just a contender for top 4. To be in this position and be top of the league with that amount of points and these performances as well is absolutely fantastic achievement. But when are we gonna say the line where from this point on you have to win it?
But you got to look at it. Look, if City win their game, because they've got a game in hand on us, it's 5 points. We've still got City to play, and we've got Anfield away. We've got Liverpool at Anfield away, which look what they've done to Manchester United. Do you know what I'm saying? They're not easy games, and nobody can say, "Oh, Arsenal are going to go there and turn them over 100%." Because in the Premier League, as you've seen against Bournemouth, we were 2-0 down. We had to come back and win 3-2. That's the beauty of this league. Anybody can beat anybody, and no one's got no given right to win. So, with Man City having that experience to claw back leads like we've seen over Liverpool in the past, because it's proven that they can do that, and they got an absolute monster up front. He's just scoring goals. It wouldn't be no shame if Arsenal missed out on the title by a point or so. But for me, it would be a failure, for my personal opinion, you get me, because I want to see us win the league now. After 19 years, we've not been in this position, and we have to go for it now. 100%. We recruited well in January, brought in Trossard, brought in Jorginho. There's no real excuse apart from if we get a few injuries here and there. But look, hopefully, fingers crossed, we can just go for it. We have been the best team in the league so far this season, and long may it continue.
I think just with all the context around Arsenal, if you don't get over the line, you will be, called bottle jobs or whatever, and it's a failure because of all the scenarios, i.e. Manchester City is still in Europe, Manchester City is still in the FA Cup. You're focused solely on the Premier League. You've only got one game a week, people will say, and all that stuff. And is it fair? Probably, yeah. Because I think people have to judge seasons by changing, your expectations change. I'm sure no one here has the same expectations for their team now, bar maybe Daps, that they had before the season started. I expect us to challenge for a title, not fingers crossed we can scrape Europa League. You'd expect the top 4. Now you're in a title. You're favourites for a title. You're 8 points clear. I don't know if you've got a game in hand or not. I haven't checked the table. I don't like
City have got a game.
City have the game in hand. Okay.
10 and 11, Tom. 10 and 11. Arsenal have 10. City have 11 games.
Right. Okay. So City have the game in hand. You're 8 points clear. That can go to 5. But I do think in the position with the context, you are the favourites for it. Mm-hmm. But if you don't win it on a one-off basis, it's a failure. But it's not going to be a situation where it's, oh no, what are we going to do? How do you? Because that's where you go back to your overarching one, where you went to the start of the season. We've overperformed that one. We just haven't hit what we thought we could do.
Yeah, I think what Premsy said. I like what Premsy said there, because I find too many fans are now doing this when it comes to football conversations. If you get a prediction wrong, who actually cares? Like, I will say this now: who are the biggest football content creators out there? Goldbridge, True Geordie, Expressions, Rants, all these guys. They've got hundreds of predictions wrong. It hasn't ruined their careers. So anyone who's just an aspiring content creator, get off this nonsense that football Twitter created, that you have to be right and you'll get cooked if you're wrong. Equally, stop fighting over semantics. If Arsenal don't win the title, it's a failure because failing to win the league is failure. But it doesn't mean failure in the sense of, because Gunnar Sol said this in one of our group chats. Failure, though, means like something big's got to happen, something big's got to change at the club. It doesn't. It just means that failure then needs to be weaponized to make you go again next year. That's essentially how I see it.
It's not a disaster, Terry.
Yeah,
You just didn't reach your goal. As in, your goal was to win the league. You didn't reach it.
And the goal has now changed. And look, I look at it this way. I make Arsenal favourites. Therefore, I don't think that they're underdogs. I do disagree with what you said at the beginning, Roy, around if people are predicting Arsenal to bottle it, they can't see them as favourites because your prediction is they're gonna crumble. If they're gonna crumble, then you don't think they're favourites because you don't think they're gonna win it. For me, it's almost like an oxymoron thing. It doesn't make sense to have those two beliefs at the same time. But Arsenal are the favourites, and I think they deserve credit. But I do get why everybody's discrediting them because they're toppling, potentially toppling, unexpectedly, this brilliant City team who is one trophy away, by the way, a Champions League, from being in the race to be the greatest English club side of all time. As in, for a particular core group of players, like when you date it from sort of 2016 to now. You add that Champions League into that mix. Or this year, you throw a fucking treble in, and they go above everyone in English football because of what they've won before and leading up to it, and what they might win after. So listen, if you're a football fan right now and you're begging for Arsenal to lose this league to City, you're a bloody idiot because you're actually encouraging a team to potentially go on and achieve something that, when you look at it as a body of work by City, none of our clubs can compete. And even as a United fan, we've won a lot of trophies, but they've won 4 of the last 5. If they had a treble on the end of that, I'm telling you now, they'll be debated.
And a three-peat as well.
Yeah, and a three-peat. They'll be debated in as the greatest ever team. If they go on to retain it next year and do 4 on the bounce with a treble in the mix, plus a domestic treble, they're going to be voted in as the greatest English team of all time. So if you're Chelsea,
you're always going to get banter, though. This is what football's about, though, innit? Regardless of what, innit? Like, at the end of the day, everyone hates each other's teams, and you're just going to get a whole load of nonsense all the time. I give it out myself as well. You know what I mean? When I got Patrick on my show, or see Toby, or anybody like that, we end up bantering them, and it's part of football. It's give and take. So I get it. You get me? But I'm just proud of my boys, innit? At the end of the day, I love my football club very much. I spend thousands and thousands of pounds traveling from Manchester to London every season, going and watching my club. You get me, people? And I love my club. And right now, as a fan, what I want to see is the potential of every season we go in, having that hope that we can challenge and win the title, not going every season to the games thinking, oh, can we get top 4? Are we even going to get into Europe this season? And already having that failure of a mindset. Now, what we're seeing is where we're challenging for the title. Even if we miss out by a point or 2, next season will give me that belief to think, right, we could go again. You get me? I've seen enough evidence this season to say we can go again. And that's just how I see it.
I haven't said that on this show before. Arsenal winning the league, this title, I think it's essential for hope for everybody else. If City win the league this year,
good of mankind.
Exactly. I think Arsenal winning the league this year will give hope to everybody that you can challenge the City team. That Liverpool win in I think 3 seasons ago is not a fluke. You can challenge the City. I think it's essential for the league that Arsenal win the league this year. If City win the league, it is very dominant. It's absolutely going to be a City's era. People will lose hope, and City will go from strength to strength. I believe this club is run very well run. And with Haaland being even better next year and Pep Guardiola getting everything right, people might not have a chance. And Arsenal winning the league this year, I think it's a chance for everybody else. It's not only it's for the underdogs everywhere.
I genuinely don't believe that Arsenal winning the league changes anything about the narrative of Manchester City's era.
You think
it really doesn't.
If Liverpool would have got over the line a few times, then it would have, innit?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, not winning the Champions League is what changes this from being a dominant domestic era to being one of the best teams that Europe's ever produced. I think when you look at the great teams, the throwback teams, the best teams of our childhoods, they all had Champions Leagues. All of them. The best Barca's, the best Madrid, the best Munich's, the best United's, the best Liverpool's. I still think City need that. But that's why I don't want them to win the Champions League ever. And it's why I don't want them competing in things like three-peats. I get there's banter. And you've definitely got to banter people at the right times. But sometimes I think some people, they've got the wrong targets. The banter should be laughing at City for missing out on a great achievement than Arsenal not winning one league title. Because I don't necessarily, someone here says, I disagree, Terry, 2 monsters is worse than one monster. I'm not necessarily worried about Arsenal right now being a team that wins 4 of the next 5 Premier Leagues. I don't necessarily. Again, I'll have to see how you spend and how you invest. I don't know if Arsenal are going to do that. City worry me a lot more. They've got a lot more resources. They have got a better manager, in my opinion, and they're going to come again strong. So I don't know. I mean, for me, I just don't want City winning. I don't want them doing this treble. You know, United stop them in the FA Cup or Brighton. Or Sheffield United would be funny if they stopped you, to be honest with you. That'd be really hilarious. I want Arsenal to win the league. And who do I want to win the Champions League? Napoli. Do you know what I mean? Like that'd be I don't want Chelsea in it, bro, because then you'll have 3 Champions League, the same as my club. I don't want that.
Oh,
either.
yeah, good point. Good
Like,
point.
you know what I mean? I don't want any of that. Arsenal fan, I don't mind being favourites, but the majority of fans still think City are going to win. So how can we be favourites? The goalposts don't stop moving, is what I think he means. You're absolutely spot on there, my friend. This guy says if City win all 11 games, and that's a big if, then Arsenal only has to lose 1 game to come second. I'm a United fan. I want both of them to lose, by the way. I hear you on that. This here says Saka statistically compares to Hazard. Not saying he's Hazard yet, but the kid is very close. We'll move on to that a little bit later when we get onto the overrated and underrated. We'll come back to that, my friend. This is Ramsdale or Pickford for England #1.
Ramsdale.
Ramsdale, 100%.
Yeah, I'd go with Ramsdale as well.
We're waiting for Pickford to make one mistake, and then Ramsdale's in for me.
This here says, question for all of you. Would you guys rather have your teams win the title next season or drop out of all cups early? Or would you rather win all the cups, including the Champions League, with no title?
100% the Champions League. And
Yeah,
all
I'm taking the
cups with no
champs.
title. Yeah,
Nice.
come on.
Champs plus 2 more cups on the top.
Oh, forget the title. You come second. Who cares?
For
You won the
me,
Champions
You've
League,
had
bro.
a title for ages, but you've had all the others. It might differ for every club.
Yeah, I would take the Champions League option because I want to catch up with Liverpool's Champions Leagues. That's more important to me than winning more league titles.
That's the only argument I've got for taking the leagues, because we need one more to match views. That's the
United,
only.
yeah.
Logically, it's the 3 trophies, because 3 trophies is better than 1. But from a purely Liverpool point of view, we need to catch United in league titles.
Yeah.
1 behind. I'd rather a guaranteed league title.
Yeah, or maybe I take the league, so we're 2 ahead of you. But I don't know. It's hard. It's like, look at we're arguing over here. Like Lamborghini or Ferrari. What do you want? Do you know what I mean? It's
Good job you ain't got Tottenham on here.
Yeah, they'd just be like, "Oh, just give me top 4. That's all we want. That's all we want."
Just let playing some nice football along the way, and we'll be
Yeah.
fine. That's all
Well,
they
do you
care
know
about.
what? All they want is Poch back. They just want their ex-girlfriend back. They are so desperate for their ex. That's all it is, bro.
Standards are in hell, man.
They want their ex-girlfriend back, 110%. Right, this is going to be hopefully some fun now, people. Hopefully some fun in the last segment. We're going to spend about 5 minutes on each before the England game starts. But we're doing overrated or underrated, or you may vote them as being rated correctly. We're going to start with...
Nah, rated correctly is a cop-out, Terry, man. Let's make it one or the other, man.
No,
Okay.
it's not. It's being factual.
It's like...
Even if it's ever so slightly, come on, let's make it controversial, man.
Yeah, not rated correctly. I don't like it.
Okay. So, Virgil van Dijk, is he overrated or underrated in terms of his legacy as a footballer?
Who to start?
Ooh.
This is the only.
That's a Liverpool fan.
Okay,
This is
underrated.
This is the one I would have went for with fairly rated.
Underrated.
I think our fan base massively overrates him. And I think
he
other
doesn't
fan
get the
bases
respect he needs.
are starting to underrate him because of what's happened recently. So I think this is the only one where fairly rated would have probably worked, because I think it's the neutral ground between our fan base thinking he's the best thing ever because we had Mamadou Sakho beforehand, and other fan bases starting to now downplay what he's achieved because of recency bias, when in reality for those 2 to 3 years he was at the top, he reached one of the highest levels a centre-back's ever reached in football. I mean, he was, 4 Ballon d'Or points off beating one of the best versions of Messi we've ever seen to a Ballon d'Or. So I think perfectly rated would be
Bridesmaids again, eh?
The question I want to throw out, though, is Liverpool fans and the media in England were talking about greatest centre-back in Premier League history. Surely that's overrating him.
Overrated.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, obviously, his longevity is not like that of Terry and Vidic and Rio and all these guys. So, if we're talking from everything you did in the Premier League, who's the greatest? Then maybe probably didn't have a place in that conversation. But in my opinion, if we're talking purely at your peak, he walks in. There is no way Van Dijk doesn't make a Premier League all-time 11 based on his peak, because his peak, like Tom said, is one of the best centre backs that I've ever seen. He was
But
he was
Roy,
essentially invincible. I think
But
guys.
Roy,
I agree with Roy.
Nah,
I agree with Roy.
yeah,
Near it.
standard. I think after his injury is a different question. I
Yes,
think before his injury,
I don't think
he was
after his injury.
unplayable, man.
Yeah, he was
Top,
literally
top, top,
unplayable.
top.
That's something at his
Guys,
peak.
He
There's
was
no way
quality
he
at
doesn't make an
quality
all-time
at
11.
Celtic, quality at
Well,
Southampton,
obviously-
quality at Liverpool. He
Yeah,
was
but
good.
obviously with like
Got
Premier
injured.
League,
He didn't get the same
he's
guy
got to
back.
factor in everything. So that's why he doesn't deserve a place. But at his
I
peak,
think
he walks in.
the thing is with Van Dijk, I think one of the things you can't factor in is his impact he had on us. Because
Yeah.
if you were to replace him with any other centre back, let's say, because I know we got sold around the same time, if you put Aymeric Laporte in our defence instead of Van Dijk, we don't achieve anywhere near what we achieved.
Yeah.
Because
I
think
agree
if
with
you put
it
Van
was
Dijk
agree
just
with
the
Tom.
impact Van Dijk had.
Oh, yeah,
That's
no,
the thing that you
I
can't
agree with
quantify.
Tom here.
Yeah,
I think
I'm-
Van Dijk from
I hear you.
January
I hear you.
2008, Terry.
I hear
he's
where you're coming
absolutely
from.
immense.
I hear where you're coming from
Yeah.
because when Vidic
Quality.
joined Manchester United, we went from not winning a league title in 3 years to winning 3 on the bounce in the Champions League. So I agree. It's a massive impact.
And
Not
I
as
think
much-
this season,
as much
as well, Van Dijk's getting exposed because the midfield ain't so bright.
Yeah, the
Thank
midfield
you.
is
That's
terrible.
right. So,
Can
sorry,
I ask you?
that's-
Go
sorry,
ahead.
Mo, one
Go
sec.
ahead. Go ahead.
That's what I was going to say. That I'm like this on Van Dijk because I do agree he's gone in and he has changed. Ultimately, Alisson and Van Dijk won Liverpool the Champions League and the league.
Prem,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was those two final pieces to the jigsaw. But when someone is in a bad season, right? So when we used to do combined 11s and Liverpool players would always get in the defence because the reason why Man City's defence looked so good was because of the midfield in front of it. That's what Liverpool fans said, right? So now, is it coincidence that all of a sudden Van Dijk looks exposed because of the players in front of him? So is he that good or were the players in front of him that good? Because now they've dropped off. Coincidence, he's also dropped off.
He had a massive injury. I think Van Dijk, for me,
Yeah, he hasn't been the
I've
same
watched.
since
I
he's
watched.
Like a granddad's playing in front of him now. Come on.
I've watched the Maldinis, I watched the Nestas and the Cannavaras. One of the most dominant center backs I've seen in my life before the
Maldini,
injury.
man.
Dominant.
Quality.
He's so dominant on the
You
pitch.
couldn't get past him. You literally
He's
could
so,
not
and
get
he
past
leads
him.
teams, bro. He had like Robertson and Trent. They were very attacking. This guy is so dominant as a defender, can lead a team. It
Hold
was
on.
unbelievable watching
Mo,
him.
But now that's still the same. It's still Robertson and Trent and Van Dijk, right?
Yeah, but
And
he had an
actually,
ACL.
hold
An
on,
ACL.
and as far
That's
as
ACL.
partners, Mo, and
ACL.
as far as partners, he's got more partners now. The difference is the player in front of him. Yeah. So was Trent covering Robertson and was Van Dijk covering Robertson and Trent, or actually with Fabinho covering Robertson and Trent?
Do you know what it is? I know what point you're trying to get at. That's what I can say is Virgil van Dijk has declined, not declined because he can get back to it once circumstances change. He's had a worse season than he's ever had at Liverpool, and I think that part of the reason why that is I don't think his overall defending impact has went down. I just think we face so many more chances now. He can't stop them all. But there is also moments. I'm not going to say he's infallible. He doesn't make a mistake because Bournemouth really pissed me off because
And
that was on
Fulham, the
him.
penalty as well.
And certain moments like that where he's too blasé at times really annoy me this season. But I can't sit there and let one down season when the entire team has had a down season. It's not like it's just him bringing everyone else down. Everyone's down. So comparing that to what we had when he was at his pomp from 2017-18 when we got him in to even last season, he was still at a higher level. He was still performing quite well. A step down from where he had been, but he was still performing quite well after November-ish once he got up to speed. So again, like I said, we're not doing fairly rated, so I don't mind what Castro gets put in because it's either or. I can't
for
argue.
me,
But
I
he
would
was
have
fairly rated.
I would
I
have
think
put
he's
it.
underrated. I'm not gonna lie.
I'd have put it into fair. Again, I think what everyone said at his peak, you could argue that he's peak one of the best. I'm still someone that judges longevity when I'm judging the legacy of a football player because I'd rather someone be 9 out of 10 for a decade than 10 out of 10 for 3 years. Personally, that's what I would prefer. But the viewers have voted in the voting section. We put a poll out. 72% have voted Van Dijk as overrated.
Shock.
But that's probably on
That
Liverpool
doesn't surprise
fans.
me.
It's probably on Liverpool fans for saying the greatest centre back of all time ever. When you think about
Like I said, it's Virgil van Dijk polarizes. You've got us who say he's the best thing ever, and you've got rivals who then bring him down a bit too much.
Just in terms of interest of time, and moving on to the next one here. Next, we're doing Wayne Rooney.
Underrated.
Underrated. One of
criminally
the
underrated.
best players that played in the Premier League. One of the best players overall
Yeah, I think
in the Premier
underrated.
League ever.
Underrated massively.
I think why people.
When you say underrated, you mean underrated by rivals?
I just think generally.
By the media, by
Generally.
everybody.
Generally.
Yeah,
I
he's
think-
not mentioned in the. He's not mentioned in the top like this class. Like you mentioned, Gerard Lampard.
I've
and
seen-
then
I've
I think
seen so
Rooney
many-
goes under the radar, and I'm like,
No,
why?
Rooney
you know
is
these like best
definitely
ever Prem
underrated.
teams. You know these like
Quality
best
Wayne
ever
Rooney.
Prem teams that people put out. I very rarely see Rooney in them,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
you sit there and
exactly.
you wonder
Thank
why.
you, Tom.
He's
Do you know
very
what?
like, so-
Wayne Rooney is one of
isn't
the
he
best
like-
footballers this country's ever seen. I'm
Yeah, I
telling
think
you now.
Thank you,
my thing with
Prem.
Rooney is that I just think because he was sort of like a second striker, he wasn't really number 10, wasn't really a number 9. He sort of like fluctuated between the two positions. I feel like a lot of people compare him to strikers, and then they say, "Oh,
With his
but he
goals,
did-
he should be, bro.
no, I
got
no, I
some-
understand,
he got
but
some
he only really
elite-
played striker for like 2-3 seasons.
But
He's
that's
got
the mad
more
thing.
than
Yeah,
200
and he
goals,
ran
Roy. More than
But-
200 goals for Man United. More than 200
I know,
goals,
but
I think.
hear me
So-
out. As in, they compare him to strikers, and then obviously, like his numbers don't really stack up to like an Henry or a Kane or an Aguero or like all these guys. But and that's why people think, oh, because he doesn't compare to 3 of the great strikers we've ever seen in this league. When he's not really a striker, then they think, oh, people are overrating him.
Bro, the type
So,
of
like,
goals
if
he
you actually
scored
watch him as a
was
footballer,
mad.
and I watched him extensively growing up, he was an unbelievable player. Really was sensational. Like
The thing with Wayne Rooney is, and
he was
this is-
complete forward. He could do everything.
is that the thing with Wayne Rooney when it comes to being rated, he's a Man United player.
Yeah,
And
spot on.
he was a Man United player, and we have this done to all of our legends. Paul Scholes weren't that good. Giggs weren't that good. I've actually sat in spaces and listened to people go through our 99 team, our 2008 team, and rate most of our players as average or overrated. But yet we dominated England and we won European trophies. There's just because everybody sees us as a rival. We're everybody's rival. Everybody
Terry,
does. So what
do
you
you
get
know-
is what you tend to get with all of your clubs is you'll get another member of the top 6 that will generally stand shoulder to shoulder with you at some point because you'll fight against the same rival, as an example. You have to, you get that quite a bit. Man United don't have that luxury. This guy scored 313 goals and got 170 assists in his career of like 700 games. He won everything that you could win at club level as a football player. He was a phenom, and I think he does get a lot of disrespect. I would completely
Terry,
agree.
Wayne Rooney was the definition of a player grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck and
Yeah,
making
spot
stuff
on.
happen.
Again.
I'm telling you now for a fact. Because see this guy, like this is coming from an Arsenal fan. When he was playing football, everything was going through him. He was the guy who can go through the gears and make the whole team go through the gears. And Wayne Rooney is the type of goals he scored. Could anybody imagine Wayne Rooney against Man City scoring that overhead kick? Like that is mental. You
Bro,
don't
do you know
normally
what it
see
is?
stuff like that.
Trendy, do you know what it is with Wayne Rooney? And I'll be honest, he's that one player that I hate.
1 minute, sorry,
when
Daps.
he plays for you
Sorry,
lot.
Daps. And just to let you know as well, he was doing it from such a young age as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
16. 16.
He's that one player that I hate played for you lot, yeah. And even more so as he's growing up and getting older. For me, he's the most relatable person on the pitch. I can look at him, even the way he's aging as a man. I look at him and think, yeah, that would probably be me, right? But when we talk about grabbing games by the scruff of the neck, not even at Man United. Where did he go in America?
Was it
DC.
DC there? Yeah, that was it.
Right. That game where the other team had a corner. No, they had a corner.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah,
tracked
yeah. I
back,
remember that.
tackled.
At
and
his
yeah.
age, ran all the way back, won the ball back, and then put a cross in, pinpoint on someone's head, right? End of his career. For me, that is the determination we all want with any player at our football club. And
Facts.
it's just from the age he did it at, I just hate that he played for Man United.
Can I
And
ask a
even with
question?
Kane, everyone will say, oh, but Kane drops deep and
Can I ask
blah,
a
blah.
question?
Rooney got criticised for dropping deep and grabbing games
Yeah,
by
yeah.
the balls. But
But
now Kane's rated for
Wayne
it.
Rooney accommodated for Ronaldo, Tevez,
Yes,
and
I wanted to
Berbatov,
ask
and
that.
then,
I wanted to
and then
ask that.
when they weren't ready, when they didn't step up, he then went, you know what, I'll do it then. And
But
then
the
when
Gla-
one player this season,
the Glazers also damaged him because we didn't need Van Persie. Because Rooney, when he played as striker for 2 years, scored more goals than Van Persie. What we needed was a world-class replacement on the right for Ronaldo, a world-class replacement on the left for Giggs, and at the time we needed a 10. Wesley Sneijder is the guy we should have gone and bought. And the Glazers, until the new TV money came in, they stopped spending. We kept on coming out with the same bullshit lines of there's no value in the market. So what happened is you got a really good deal on Van Persie at 20 million. And who got moved into the wide positions and the 10 position? Rooney. The guy was so unselfish. And I sometimes wish for him individually, he was more selfish and said, you know what? If you're not going to play me where I want to play, I am leaving. Because in his pomp, he could have walked into any team in the world. Anybody would have had him. But look, he is what he is.
I think that kind of benefited you, though, in a way, when Van Persie come with Rooney dropping back, because he would pick up the ball in the middle of the park.
Yeah, he can
and
link the
free
play
it
really
40 yards.
No,
you get me? And there's hardly any players that could do what he was doing.
I think as well, though, I think what United fans wanted to see years before that was almost like a makeshift in Fergie's last year. What we wanted to see was world-class players brought in the summer of 2009 to replace an aging Giggs, to replace Ronaldo that left. You keep Rooney as the number 9, and we had Tevez that left. So you needed somebody that could complement him as an example, because Rooney stepped in that season and scored nearly 40 goals. We didn't need a striker. We needed everything around him. But Rooney was just, I get where you're coming from. I just think we could have won a little bit more with that investment. But there we go. The viewers have voted. 78% have said Wayne Rooney is underrated. Is what the viewers of the Football Terrace has said there. We'll come back to some of your stupid chats that are off topic. We'll come back to them a little bit later.
And he stayed with you guys as well when Real Madrid came knocking.
He did. This here says companies miles clear of Van Dijk, and Liverpool fans said he's better than Vidic. Vidic defo overrated.
Yes, and then Man City fans said he's worse than Ledley King. So then is he underrated because of that?
Vidic is not overrated. Vidic is quality.
This here says I'm a gunner, and Van Dijk's peak wouldn't draw water. Company at his peak is what? What do you think to that, Daps? As a City fan reading that,
Company is my goal. So because the things where they are comparable is Company came in just before the money, right? So that's why he's my goal. That he came in and he was there for a long time. Do you know Company actually said on Rio's is it 5 Rio's thing? Yeah,
he said that VVD's the best ever.
No, he didn't. Oh, right, no, but on himself. When they were talking about putting him up there with Terry Vidic and Ferdinand, he said, maybe if I didn't get the injuries, maybe. But I did. Therefore, I'm not putting myself. And that is true. We have to understand that Company, I honestly believe Company in his prime, was unplayable. But his prime didn't last quite long enough because of injuries. And we have to understand that. Like, Company did everything he did. That doesn't change for our club. And I would put him probably in top 5 Premier League defenders maybe. But it was cut short because of injuries. It was.
Yeah, I hear that.
The next leader of men, Company, leader of men.
He was a great leader.
Yeah,
the
next one on and off the pitch.
The next one we're doing could be quite controversial. Bukayo Saka, underrated or overrated?
Ooh.
There are two sides of the story. We ask Arsenal fans, or we ask everybody else.
I think he's rightly rated from Arsenal fans and underrated by everyone else.
Yeah, I think he's underrated. I don't think the masses have really clocked how good Saka is. Like, it's not just the Arteta system. Like, his game has taken leaps and bounds season after season. Like, before it was, can he create? He's not a good finisher. He doesn't use his right foot. Now this is someone who can cut inside, curl it, Man United. He can go on the right-hand side, drill it top corner like he did against Leeds. He can create for his teammates. He combines really well. He's got a good football brain on him. Like, he's an excellent.
And the bottom line is, Roy, he was getting pretty much most of the biggest teams in the whole of Europe in their starting 11.
Yeah.
And that's facts.
And he's proved he can when the Arsenal were bummy, Saka put them on his back.
This guy can play left back, right back, left wing, right wing, versatile.
Yeah, and he's humble, which is
quality. Let me tell you why I think Saka is one of the most underrated players. Every time Saka plays, I think this guy's 26, 27. Every time I have to Google his age to make sure he's 21. He plays like a 27 years old.
Shit memory then, to be fair.
No. The guy plays like a mature player. Yes. He makes me forget his age. He plays like really someone who knows football, who doesn't need to still mature. And he plays like he leads the team sometimes. He wants the ball every single time, never hides, never shy from getting the ball and getting on the ball and try to dribble and take it to the other team. And that's experienced player do this, and he's only 21.
And you
Do
know
you know
what?
what it is?
As well, Mo, he was
just a quick
playing
question
with
now.
that experience. He was playing with that experience
Yeah.
when he came into the team from 17 and 18 as well.
Oh,
And look, this is not just Saka playing with good players now, shining. He was playing with shit players, and he was still standing out back then as well.
Quick question now. I just because I heard you say he's underrated by rival fans. What is the common consensus then that you believe he's underrated on? Like what the rival fans say that you go, no, he's
Just have a look in the chat, mate, and you can see
Now,
that.
do you know what it is?
Tom,
What
it's
it is?
ability. It's all
Go on,
about- it's the weirdest thing because it's a very easy thing. And you get some challenges when you're having football conversations that are so vague, they're almost impossible to answer. They go, but he doesn't have the ability, does he? That doesn't even mean anything anymore. What the hell does ability even mean? Ability is the ability to deliver. Like eye test is a completely nonsensical argument because it's about preference. And again, if you don't like how Saka looks, but he's scoring goals, your preference is fucking irrelevant.
And you know what? The biggest example of it as well, sorry, Terry, for cutting in. The biggest example of it is when England played in the Euros and the World Cup, a lot of England fans wanted Foden in the team and they didn't want Saka. And it's funny enough, Saka was probably one of the best England players. He won, Player of the Year for England as well. So just to answer your question there, that's another reason why you know that a lot of the fans don't rate Saka too tough.
That was a perfect segue, Premsy. Thank you. This is why people try and downplay Saka. For me, I once got asked about generational, and if Saka's generational, and I said I need to understand what generational means because in my old man head, I don't know. Someone said it's something that no one else can do. I said, what? At 18, he's going from left back to right wing. That sounds pretty generational, right? Now, I rate Saka highly, but what Premsy just did there, when someone brings in someone from another fan base and goes, do you know what? I'm going to make a comparison. Then straight away, my back goes up. And I'm like, sorry, did you just mention Foden? So, and then all of a sudden, I think that Saka is underrated. And I think once they win a league, all of a sudden it gives him more clout for people to start putting him where he should be. But it's the trophies. Terry, you always speak on it. The trophies are so important in how you rate someone. Once Saka starts getting those trophies, all of a sudden he'll be spoke about the way he probably should be.
And
Look at that, Harry Kane at one football and everyone calls him world class.
But again,
overrated for me, Harry Kane.
Again, but we're talking about like obviously with young players, and we're doing a different show tomorrow night. We're going to be ranking players off on who's going to have the biggest legacy. When I think about a player being underrated or overrated, I'm talking about their ability and everything else, but it's about their legacy. It's around where they're seen, where their stature is in the game. And I think Harry Kane's a prime example. World-class ability, world-class outputs, but I don't consider him a football legend. Because
would you consider him overrated?
Kane? I would. No, it depends what you mean. His footballing ability isn't overrated. His status as a footballer is massively overrated because he's achieved 0 goals and assists and winning games, and your skill and your ability. If you're not winning the major, so for some reason, football fans protect a handful of players and a handful of teams get protection that no other athlete, that barely any other athlete in any other sport gets. Where if you don't win the major prizes, you're still massively regarded. And someone gave me an example in NFL where they said Dan Marino, he's highly rated, but that only lasts for a certain amount of time. Over the course of time, there's going to be more and more quarterbacks that come along that are as good or better that win Super Bowls. Eventually, he's going to be ranked so low down the pecking order that he'll be remembered, but he won't be remembered like a Tom Brady. Tom Brady will always be remembered because he didn't win those trophies. And for me, it's weird. So yeah, Saka will be. I think he's underrated. I think he's already been.
Yeah, I do as well.
People
but
play
I think
him.
after this season, he won't be anymore.
Yeah, but he will be by certain people because they'll just then go to once you start winning trophies. So this is what happens when it comes to trophies and Gerrard and Scholes comes up. Ability, player awards, ability. No, it's trophies that matter. You know, it always has been. It always will be for me. Viewers have voted though. 73% have said underrated. This super chat here says Saka. What about European legend Ozil? Terry, I'm joking. Listen, I said about Ozil yesterday. I said fantastic.
I thought he was going to be in this one. You know, I thought.
I thought he was as well.
He's in tomorrow night's show where we're comparing him against somebody and who's going to have the bigger legacy by the time they retire. Saka fairly rated, but overrated by Arsenal fans. He's not close to Foden. Let's see how good Saka's next season. One good season acting like prime Sanchez is what Lang and Sweet says here.
If you actually go and look at the stats, by the way, because I've done it, how similar these two guys are away from the trophies is absolutely insane. If you look at their goals and assists per game, it is like within a decimal of each other. They're
And
so similar.
and you
one
know
of
what,
them, one of
as
them
well, you
played
gotta-
for a
you gotta-
top team, Man City,
exactly,
and one of
Mo.
them played for a shitty Arsenal team. I
Yes,
know
Mo.
your
Oh,
argument,
that-
Dabs, that you're
that-
going to tell me.
That swings.
Let me
That swings in
finish.
both ways, though. That swings in both ways. In the same way
because
that
is it harder to
Foden was in a
shine in a
better
shit
team.
team? Is it harder to shine in a better team? But how
No,
easy it is to play
that's not
for
the
a team
point.
that is already established.
If
Let
you're
him
looking
speak. Let him
at it from a
speak. man.
purely stats level, if you're looking at it from a purely stats level, which is why I think context is so needed, their stats are similar. But then it's the case of, well, Saka has been the main option on this Arsenal team because they have been bad. So the majority of attacks will end up going through him. Whereas with Foden, sometimes they can go 30 minutes without even needing to use him because Riyad Mahrez is probably
But if you look at context in it, because I remember, I think it was either Daps or Big Steve saying out of, is it 4 Premier Leagues Foden's won? And in the best part of 3 seasons, he was one of their main players in that he was used efficiently and a lot. So I think that's a bit of nonsense,
so
to be
similar.
fair.
This is
When
the
you
thing.
see Arsenal team, yeah, when the guy's coming in at 17 years old playing left back out of position, yeah, and he's still assisting and still being the bright spot, it's totally different, mate. Totally different.
Yeah.
Totally
The
different.
thing is, right, at the moment, sorry, what you could say is that Foden has won 4 Premier Leagues, 4. You can talk trophies, right, and then you can pull out moments where he's helped to achieve those trophies. This season, if Arsenal win the league, then I would look. There's a good chance that Saka might get Arsenal Player of the Season in the season they win the league. All of a sudden, then the whole conversation of Foden. So they're so similar. It's going to be mad by the end of both their careers.
I hear that there. Just cut the super chats here. Premsy, don't let these men fool you. Arsenal fans have lost their balls. We will win this league. We ain't Leicester. We are the Arsenal. It's 5:24 a.m. in Australia right now. Big up Premsy. VVD overrated. Thank you, Nathan. We don't have time to answer this, but I want to say thank you, San. Who's your top 3 greatest sides of all time? Just because we are running out of time, but we do get enough time. We will come back to it. Off topic, but where do you guys put Thomas Muller? 2 trebles, a World Cup. I think it means multiple Bundesligas, but never gets mentioned as one of the best.
I think he's quality, Muller, me.
Yeah, in his pomp, he was top.
I don't think people understand this game well enough to rate him.
Yeah. There is a reason why every coach that coached Bayern Munich from 2009 picked this guy.
Equally, people pretend to watch the Bundesliga week in, week out. They just don't. That's why they don't rate him. That's what happens. Just interest of time, we've got 2 more to do. We've got to try and get through these quickly. Very sorry, boys. Next one, KDB, Kevin De Bruyne, overrated or underrated by the footballing world?
Again, another one where I go fairly rated. I think he's in the right conversation that he's in. He's one of the best Premier League midfielders of all time, and he gets talked about in that conversation as one of the best Premier League midfielders of all time.
People give him the respect he deserves, 100%. I don't think anyone underrates him.
Personally,
overrated.
I think some who underrate him.
I think slightly overrated personally.
No, something underrated. Like Roy. Roy's getting ready because he knows who's coming next.
Roy. When you say slightly overrated, what do you mean?
Like he's a fantastic footballer, but how do I put it? As in, like, yes, he's one of the best Premier League midfielders we've ever seen, but I've also seen a lot of City fans and even some other fans as well put him up there with the likes of your Xavis, your Iniestas, your Modric's, and let me not lie, like KDB, Modric, valid, but I'm not gonna lie, it's Modric quite easily for me. And I just think, people have gone too far because he's playing in one of the most dominant Premier League sides ever, built in a system that plays to his assets and his skills perfectly.
But he's also playing in the best league in the world as well. Where a lot of these other leagues, they only have either 1 or 2 teams that can beat you. Do you know what I mean? And
I understand,
shining.
Not so much. He's slightly overrated.
Can I throw in a genuine challenge though? Everyone always mentions Xavi and Iniesta, and I think they're amazing. But they played in the system of all systems of all systems of all systems.
You're right, Terry. I agree with this. Look at Modric with Real Madrid. There is a difference. I'm sorry, Daps. Let me just say something. This is gonna work against every Man City player in this era. 10 years from now, we're gonna all say the same. We're gonna say, but you played in the most dominant team in the Premier League in the last 20 years. But he can only do what he can do in front of him. He can only assist in this team.
But
And I think he has been doing it fantastically.
They do that to the Man United legends. Yeah, but you played in the best team, so it don't count.
Yeah.
It's the best team because it had the best fucking players.
Sorry, Terry, can I just ask Roy a question?
That's what
Roy,
happened.
when you said he's playing in a team that plays exactly to what he needs, explain that, please. Please explain to me.
Is it not self-explanatory? As in,
No, it's not, because last season we played completely different to how we play this season. So
I swear he played false nine last season when he'd done the rest of his career as a centre.
Yeah, then I'm not saying from minute 1 to minute whatever it is now.
You know what, Roy? Let me.
It's been perfectly tailored to him. Like obviously,
What now? Right now?
Roy,
You know what?
hold on.
Let me. I want to say something, Tom. You know what, Roy?
Let me just ask Roy this, the Chelsea fan. Did Chelsea not play a system that was tailored to Frank Lampard and his strengths?
yes, we did. But I think it wasn't always tailored to him.
So then it's Frank
we had so
Lampard
many
slightly
different
overrated?
managers.
But
We had
you
so
just
many different managers.
no, Roy. You just said again it wasn't always tailored to him. So
No,
what
no,
I
no,
need
no.
to understand is
Tom.
which Mo.
Right.
I want
Right.
to
Right.
get an
Right.
answer.
For most of
Right.
Lampard's career, the system wasn't tailored around him, though.
No,
To
but-
answer
but
this
Mo,
about Lampard,
please,
to answer
please,
this,
Mo,
there are
let me
different
answer.
coaches.
Guys, one at a time, please, because no one can
Yeah,
hear. So
Mo, let me get an answer out of him, please. So, Roy, which system is tailored around Kevin De Bruyne? The system this season or the system the previous 2 seasons?
No, as in when he was filling in at false nine, I don't know if that was 2021, maybe I think. And like where
Last 2 seasons, yeah.
he wasn't really playing. Obviously, the system wasn't tailored
No, it
around him.
wasn't.
But I'm speaking from minute 1 of his City, mainly under.
So the way, so he
really got
interchanges
structured.
with how we're playing, is what you're saying.
No, I'm saying for most of his City career, like he's been in that right centre mid role where the system's been built around him to do what he does. And yes, he's fantastic. Like, don't think I'm not calling KDB shit. KDB is a elite world-class midfielder, one of the best players in the world, in the league, all that stuff. But I just think that there's just something. I just think
That isn't
too
Eden Hazard
highly.
to you.
Huh?
No, it's a crazy one for me. As I say, I'm not slagging off, by the way.
Like he's elite. I just think he's slightly overrated. That's just
I
my
just want to say
opinion.
to the viewers, I'm not having a go here at Xavi and Iniesta, arguably the 2 greatest midfielders of all time, maybe the greatest ever partnership as well. But to say that KDB can't be rated because he's part of a system takes away from players like that. And
Terry,
again,
let me shut that down.
and I want to say this. I want to say this about systems as well. I understand that there is a little less freedom now for players than there maybe used to be. And I saw Tim Sherwood talk about this today, how like the modern day phrases, like football isn't different now to what it used to be. The phrases are just different. I think he goes a little bit too far. There's a bit of bitterness because he ain't a manager, but there is an element of like low blocks is just sitting back. There isn't a huge. There'll be adaptations, but they're not fun. Football hasn't fundamentally changed in the last 10 years to an unrecognizable sport and everything else. And I think that systems have always been a part of football. Man United play 4-4-2. And it strikes them Beckham was only good because the system was created that enabled him to cross from the right-hand side so brilliantly. That's what a winger was. You know, I don't know for me. Look, I want to move on. I want to move on to the last one. Sorry, guys, just out of interest of time here. Underrated. 55% have said underrated for Kevin De Bruyne. The next one, the final one we're doing, is he underrated or overrated? Eden.
Did you say overweighted?
Underrated or overrated? Eden Hazard.
I'm gonna let the other people go first.
Is that across his whole career, by the way?
Yeah. Go on,
At Chelsea. At Chelsea.
Overrated.
At Chelsea. At
Go on.
Chelsea.
Go on.
At
Overrated.
Chelsea, he was
At Chelsea.
rightly, but
I think it
since
was
then,
overrated.
but look, all I know is 100% across his career, massively overrated because he hit his ceiling by the time he was what, 20?
27, 20.
How old is he now?
He what, 32? I want to say.
But for me, is
Eden Hazard was unbelievable at
Rooney,
Chelsea.
and we said how long Rooney did it for. Look at this guy.
So
Wait, hold on.
Premzi, let me just say something.
Go on.
Premzi, yes, he was unbelievable at Chelsea, but the wingers we have seen that can put in goals and assists, and I'm not going to mention Salah here. I'm going to mention Saka this year. I think even Sterling. I think his output was not enough. which yes, he won everything with them. And on the eye, he's absolutely brilliant, can dribble anybody. But I still think that people put him in a conversation with players that are way better than him and delivered way more than him. That's what I think. So he's an 8, but people put him as a 10.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. Overrated.
Let's
I
not
wouldn't
forget
say
as
he's the
well.
best
Let's not forget
footballer that we've
15,
seen in the
16.
league, but his quality,
I
man,
don't
without
see
giving
top
him that.
players having a full season off like he did in 15-16 when he just
Thank
decided,
you.
nah, I can't be bothered.
Look
I'm
at Salah's
full year out
off
of
season
goal.
now, Tom. Salah's off season now. He's more involved in 30 goals now.
I don't know. I just watch football with my eyes, and when I used to watch Eden Hazard in the Premier League, he was some player. I'm telling you now for a fact.
Adel Taarabt
Things
was
that he
some
could
player.
do.
I used to love watching Adel Taarabt.
Oh, come on. You can't say that, dude.
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
Eden
That's a
Hazard-
low
If
blow,
you
Tom.
if you man actually honestly think Eden Hazard was no good in the Premier League, then you
No,
man,
he's brilliant.
you don't
Great.
watch this
I
league. I'm
just
telling you
want to
now.
say, I think Eden Hazard was top class and world class for periods of time. Where I think the overrated nature can come in is only from certain Chelsea fans who would sit on shows, would call into shows, or would sit there on Twitter and talk about he's in the top, like Messi, Ronaldo.
He's not in the best players in the world, but in the league when he was there, he was quality, man.
That's where people call him overrated because people, like with Van Dijk, I think best in the world at his peak. But when people start saying the greatest defender of all time, it's like, whoa, slow down. For me, Eden Hazard was world class. He was one of the best, probably for 2 years, the best player in the Premier League. But when people start talking about the greatest ever, the best this, the best that, you have to factor in more than just the skills. And he won trophies as well. So for me, it was like, I think by most of football, he was rated fairly. I think by some Chelsea fans, they over-indexed him so much, which makes more people then kind of hate on him. Does that make sense?
100%. Look, it's the whole pedestal thing. If a fan base puts a player on a pedestal, then naturally other fan bases get their backup. But if we look at who we've been talking on, I'm just going to pick out Wayne Rooney, right? So, like you said, there are Chelsea fans that will talk about Hazard and put him in conversations with Ronaldo, Messi, right? But then won't ever try and put Rooney in those conversations, right? And for me, that's where if we're looking at these players against each other, Rooney is worlds apart from Hazard.
Yeah, I think that.
Thank you, Dubs.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think peak for peak. I think Hazard was. Yeah,
but his peak was like 3 years, bro.
Not even.
You think Hazard is better than Rooney at his peak?
No, Rooney was levels above Hazard, bro.
I can't hear that. I'm sorry.
But that's what we're saying. That the problem is
I think
he's an 8. He's a great player, Roy, but he's not in the conversation with like these.
Wayne Rooney had some serious longevity in every season.
Oh yeah, crazy longevity.
He turned up and performed every single season.
Is Winter Safer trying to flex that Eden Hazard managed to run past Joe Allen and Kolo Toure to score past us?
The thing is,
that's not helping the arguments.
Before we round up,
Christian Benteke done that 3 times.
This whole longevity thing with Hazard, I think people also forget that Hazard was sensational at Lille. Like he was dubbed a generational talent. I'm not saying whether I agree or disagree or not, but he was sensational at Lille. He won he didn't win the title, but he was a huge part in why they won the title. So from 2010 to 2019, apart from that one-off season, he was fantastic every year.
But Wayne Rooney was doing it in the Premier League, innit? That's the difference.
Also, we let him down massively because I will never ever forgive Chelsea for pairing him up with Willian for 7 fucking years. A player of his caliber being paired up with Willian for 7 years is unforgivable. We've let him down massively. Some of the teams where he'd have to put us on his back and deliver week in, week out because everyone else just wasn't at his level. I would never forgive Chelsea for that because he should have.
That is the narrative you lot always come with on anything. To be fair,
I might say something that's a little bit controversial here. I really think that Eden Hazard. I think there's a player that is in the conversation with Hazard for similar levels. If we want to go for the arguments, and it's Alexis Sanchez, and I don't think that gets mentioned enough. I think Alexis Sanchez is closer to
Hazard got player of the season because Chelsea won the league, but
Sanchez dropped like some mad numbers.
Was unplayable.
And Alexis Sanchez, if you're talking about carrying a bad team, Alexis Sanchez.
To be fair though, I think
even worse.
There were lots of comparisons at the time.
Ozil. If it weren't for Ozil, I don't think we would have seen the same Sanchez as well. So you got to give Ozil his props for that because their connection was good. And you got to look in that Charity Shield game as well, where I think we won 3-0 against City. Daps, was it 3-0?
Well, you just said Charity Shield. I switched off to be frank with you.
No, but if you look in that game, the way he tore City apart in that game, bro, it was crazy, man.
It was a one-man weapon.
And that was a City that was firing on all cylinders. That
I
just
wonder
come
what
off
happened
the
in
back
the
of
league
winning the
that
Premier.
season.
No, that's what I'm saying. This was just the City that come off the Premier League, winning the
Also,
Premier League.
and
And they just
Sanchez
got
was unreal.
quality, man.
Sanchez was
This-
unreal.
this is the
I
last
think
thing
it's
I'll
a
say
shame
on the
he joined
Hazard one
United
as
and
well.
not City, to be fair, at that time in his career. But
Yeah, the last thing I'll say on the Hazard one, because I assume we're just doing Chelsea times. His European legacy is the worst thing I can see from a top level player. He has one knockout goal, and it was a penalty in a game that they lost.
Yeah, fair enough.
Thomas coming with like stats
Yeah.
ready, bro. Like
Yeah.
Thomas, like
I mean,
ready.
what I will say to that, Tom, is that I am so happy Real Madrid won the Champions League last season because no one can take away that medal from his CV, and it's going to be in the history books forever.
Shame.
Do you know
I
what
don't
Eden
know.
Hazard's Champions
Just
Champions
like-
League medal
just
last
like-
year is like when Ryan Brewster won it.
Just like I was going to say a better one than
bro.
Riyad Brewster.
I've got to take
It's
what I
just-
can get, man.
It's just like when what's his name won it, Jonathan Greening for Man United. Same thing. So
I've
yeah,
never heard of that guy.
he got on the bench because of the suspensions of Roy Keane and Paul Scholes. He was on the bench for Man United in '99. He had a good career actually at West Brom. So yeah, not too bad. Right, listen. I want to say a big thank you to the viewers. He's actually been rated here 66%.
Overrated.
Say overrated.
I knew it. I
on
knew it.
Ethan
I know these. I know
Hazard.
these audiences.
You're
man.
lost.
The
You're
viewers,
lost, Roy.
I think the viewers have pretty much agreed with the consensus of the panel tonight, which is rare. Listen, people, we're back tomorrow with more content for you. On top of the content, tomorrow evening, we're doing the first of its kind on YouTube. We're doing a legacy debate where we're putting two players against each other for who has or will have the biggest legacy. It can be a legend v legend. It might be legend versus current star on who's going to have the biggest legacy. It's a ranking show, so you guys in the audience can get involved as well. Premzy, Mo, Roy, of course, Carefree Lewis was here, Daps, and Little Tom. Thank you all very, very much for coming on the show tonight. I appreciate it, boys. Hit the like button, viewers, before you leave. Subscribe to the Terrace, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Remember, all the links for everybody's channels are in the description below, so go and check it out, and we'll see you all soon.